Hello everyone, Ruby Ravel here, interplanetary purveyor of astrological intoxicants and Jane Austen heroine wannabe, here to talk to you today about Mercury Conjunct Neptune. In the novel Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, Lady Pole is brought back from the dead thanks to the intercessions of the magician Mr. Norrell, who has done so in order to increase his social prestige and standing in the world of public life. However, he was only able to do so thanks to the assistance of a fairy. This fairy with the thistledown hair was more than happy to enable Lady Pole's resurrection on the proviso that she would spend at least half of her life in the kingdom of fairy, dancing nocturnally in the land of lost hope. This meant that while initially her husband and family were overjoyed at this miracle that had brought her back from the land of the dead, they were soon pretty put out by her unusual and erratic behavior. All these midnight wanderings in the realm of fairy had left her spiritually exhausted, so that while she was around polite company during the day, her behavior was withdrawn, esoteric, unusual, and unapproachable. The great horror of Lady Pole's Persephone-like existence was that while she was fully aware of the bargain that had been placed upon her soul that forced her to live this horrid existence, she was unable to communicate it to anyone else. As soon as she was on the cusp of revealing her secret, of making her burdensome existence known to other people, the fairy curse would kick in and she would be forced to go on these long, rambling tirades in which she elaborated all kinds of convoluted nonsense, which would only reinforce the belief to everyone else around her that she was completely and utterly mad. This, to me, isn't unlike how Mercury conjunct Neptune can manifest itself as an astrological aspect and transit. It is the job of Mercury, the magician of our consciousness, to process information and data. He takes the information and sensory information arising from the outside world and also the emotional and psychic information that arises within us and tries to synthesize it in such a way that he can find the meaningful and relevant patterns and details in all of that information so he can express himself clearly and, who knows, maybe even concisely to other people. But when Neptune comes along and with a thrashing wave grabs the wing-heeled wanderer and pulls him down into the depths of the ocean, suddenly Mercury can find processing information very difficult because he is so overwhelmed by all of the intense emotions and strange spiritual experiences that are rising up from the depths of the unconscious that he doesn't really know how to start. We can be so completely overawed by all of the feelings and all of the numinous knowledge that seems to suddenly be rising up like a tsunami from our soul, that expressing it becomes an impossible matter. What Mercury conjunct Neptune reminds us of is how ineffable so many human experiences are. In order to make ourselves understood by other people, in order to make ourselves feel like we have some kind of social solidarity with others, we have to be able to express ourselves. We have to be able to use language in such a way that we can say, this is what it's like to be me. This is what my inner world and inner experience is like. Do you understand? But Neptune makes our inner world feel infinite, vast, a dizzying array of parallel universes fractaling forever in all directions like an omnidimensional hallway of mirrors. It is very easy to get lost in all of the underwater labyrinths of the self. Every time we have one profound realization about a certain aspect of our spiritual being, somehow that leads on to an even deeper revelation, and a deeper one, and a deeper one, and a deeper one, and a deeper one, until suddenly we have no idea who we really are at all anymore. This can actually make us feel surprisingly lonely. We are so drowned in that vast inner world of our own creating that reaching out for someone else feels like a Sisyphean task, that the closer we get to that other person, the further they seem to recede away in the distance, like someone chasing the Welsh horse goddess Rhiannon. What we really want during Mercury-Neptune transits is for complete psychic fusion with someone else. We want someone to love us. We want someone to come so closely to us that they can feel the essence of our own soul, that without us having to open our mouth and talk forever in this futile way, trying to describe things that are by essence indescribable, we wish that someone could just hug our spirit and see inside our soul, that with a single moment they could experience that perfect psychic interface with us and just say, I understand. And not only do I understand and appreciate the vastness and complexity of your inner world, I love it, I empathize with it, and I care about you because of it. What we long for is to have some great emotional outpouring, to just be with someone who can hold space for us and just listen to us exploring all of our inner depths, knowing that we will be held and loved and appreciated no matter how strange whatever we bring to the surface may be. However, our fear of being rejected or being misunderstood or not being appreciated when we are in this hypersensitive state can actually make us resist communication and contact with people completely. We might say, no one will ever understand all of the crazy, strange things that I'm feeling inside. How could anyone comprehend or hold space for something that feels so endless and boundless? Instead, it can feel safer just to hide away and withdraw inside ourselves in our own private worlds, to go on astral voyages or to hide inside books and movies or drugs and alcohol, anything rather than open ourselves up to someone hurting us. Because this is one of the problems about Neptune. It wants that complete overlapping intimacy with someone else or something else. But while we are in that state of heightened sensitivity, whatever thick skin we had previously feels like it has been peeled away, and things that we might ordinarily overlook can suddenly agonize us with a soul-searing intensity. One of the classic dilemmas of Mercury conjunct Neptune is that we have this overbearing sense of our own immense emotional needs. We feel that craving for emotional nourishment from other people that we do not feel we can fully give ourselves. And yet we can feel that what we are actually asking from other people is too much. It's too big a thing for anyone to truly give. It is too divine a substance that we are seeking. It is the holy grail of human interactions. And rather than straightforwardly ask for what we want, instead, and because we are afraid of rejecting, instead in that Neptunian way, we might swim and skirt around the subject, hinting and alluding and evading what we want, and hoping that through some kind of psychic transference and osmosis, the person will get the gist. However, usually the other person doesn't get the gist, and we end up feeling rejected and wounded for something we haven't even asked for. So like the magically discombobulated Lady Pole, we can feel like we are trying to communicate something that is in essence impossible to communicate, and that the more we try and get ourselves understood, the more misunderstood we are likely to be. I do feel that it is possible to share immense emotional intimacy with someone during that aspect, provided it is someone who we can truly trust, who is happy to have some of their bounds dissolved. If we try it with ordinary people or with people whose acquaintance does not go that deep, we might find ourselves hurt by their coldness or resistance to our intense emotionality that gets too close for comfort. But one of the benefits of this transit or placement is that even while we might be aware of the limitations of language, of the impossibility of finite words capturing infinite experiences, the fact that we still try can lead to tremendously interesting and creative breakthroughs. Many great poets and artists have had Mercury conjunct Neptune because they have had that ability to see visionary worlds and the chutzpah to try and express them and communicate them to other people afterwards. And to try and communicate the incommunicable, they have had to learn to use language as a unique coloration, as a different experiential palette that they can draw from. They can use language in an abstract, mythopoeic, and phantasmagorical way. It's a way of using words to enchant and spellbind, to conjure and summon, rather than just communicating ordinary linear information. This aspect historically, though, is also associated with deception. But the deception of Mercury conjunct Neptune isn't always obvious, and the person who is deceiving someone else might not always be aware of what they are doing because their actions are coming from a place of apparent compassion and self-pity. A lot of the deception of Mercury conjunct Neptune is sometimes in what it deliberately leaves unsaid, on the crucial details that it omits. If it feels that something is potentially dangerous or contentious, it is happy just to stay away from or evade or avoid that topic altogether. It may also feel such a drive to want to love other people, to give them what it wants, that psychically heightened part of itself can kind of intuit what that person would most like to hear, what they would most like them to be socially in that space, that they are willing to shapeshift themselves in order to fit it and say whatever they feel that person needs to hear, which, whilst that can initially be very lovely and healing and therapeutic, if it's later found to be without substance, to be mere mist and vapor emerging from the mouth, then it can make the other person very hurt indeed. It can be very hard for someone with Mercury conjunct Neptune to truly know their own minds, because those minds are so ever-changing and polymorphic. We can experience things with such emotional intensity that we feel they must be true because that truth seems to be radiating to us divinely from another realm. And yet the next day, or in a mere matter of moments, that intense feeling, that inner fantasia may have suddenly collapsed, and we're in the throes of another vision, in the throes of another reality. We may have one moment where we meet someone and we're convinced that they are a divine prince or princess from another realm sent here to save us, that we have spent many past lives with them, that they are the one for us, and then we never see them again. We may have some sudden insight about some outre spiritual aspect of our inner being, a revelation that we think will change us forever, and then that fog of Neptunian amnesia sets in and it's all forgotten about with the coming of morning light. As such, when Mercury is in the throes of Neptune, I think it is a good time for doing lots of emotional and intellectual inner diving, to have safe spaces in which we can explore all those vast coral caves of the mind. But whilst we are seeing all those waves and all those eddying currents, we should not mistake all of them for any kind of lasting substance or truth. We need to enjoy the emotional journey without trying to freeze it into a state of solidity. It is best to take even the most intense of emotional experiences in this transit with a pinch of salt, because no doubt once we have emerged from Neptune's fog, not everything will have been as it seemed. On a mundane level, this aspect can manifest as us receiving some rather unusual, unexpected messages. Some of these can be messages of sorrow, of depression, of grief. Perhaps we hear news that someone close to us is sick, dead, or dying, or someone reaches out to us and wants us to be a vessel, container, and receptacle for some intense inner experience that they are going through. Some of these things may come unbidden. Maybe someone who we thought we were just friends with suddenly chooses this time to unburden their undying, strange Neptunian longing and yearning for us, or an ex reaches out and decides that now is the time for them to let us know all the sorrow and misery that we have felt in our absence, but just as equally, the silences that we can experience during Mercury conjunct Neptune can be intense and harrowing. Again, there can be that feeling of everyone being so absorbed by their own issues that no one is able to be fully present with us. People may be so overcome by their own mental health problems or actual physical sickness that they are not emotionally available for us in the way that we crave. It can feel that we have been deliberately isolated, like the hanged man, that we must swim in those endless depths alone, without any loving heart or hand to be the psychopomp for which we are craving. Anyway, that's enough from me for now, I think. I hope you enjoyed these subaqueous ramblings. If there's anyone out there who would like to share their own experiences of having Mercury-Neptune placements natally, I would love to hear from you, or about transits of Neptune to your natal Mercury, anything like that. Please do share. If you would like to get in contact with me for spiritual counseling, my email will be below, and if you wish to support me on Patreon as well, the link to that will be below as well. Please like, share, and subscribe. And when I have come back from my holiday in Atlantis, I will look forward to making future videos for you.